the people in your life are borrowed.
Yes.
Are borrowed. I've had some difficulties with a few of my family members, and they were very painful. But I realized through reading this book that these people are on loan to me. They may come back. I may be able to loan them again, but especially your children, they're on loan. You have them because you want them to go on to a life of their own, and sometimes that life of their own does not include you. Painful, but that's why you have them. And then sometimes you have them for a very short time, and but that short time that you speak of is very precious.
Yes, we're grateful for the almost 14 years.
You know, people don't misunderstand this concept. Usually when you put your faith in Jesus Christ and you believe on Him, it's called born again. What it was is a spiritual life is started on earth. And this spiritual life continues into the next realm, which is heaven, and that's everlasting. And everybody that has put faith in the God Jesus will have an eternal life. They'll live forever and ever, and we will be reunited with our loved ones. And that's a day we all look forward to. That's what keeps us going. There was an old song, I could face, tomorrow.
Yeah, well, in interviewing authors, I every once in a while will interview a person who's written a book about their mediumship. In other words, their ability to make contact with the spirit and people through the spirit. And because there are so many instances of this happening, it's very hard not to think that they're, at first you think, well, are you really sure that this is what's happening, or are you hallucinating, or whatever explanation people give to it. But you hear so many stories of people having a visitation, so to speak, from someone who's died, that there's got to be something to it. It's very hard not to believe in the hereafter, a life after death.
Yes.
Yes, I mean, God's made a promise, and we just have to accept Him. And He said in Revelations, behold, I will make all things new. So when that time comes, the lost time and all the sorrow will be no more.
Okay, now I'm going to make a shift from the sublime to the ridiculous. Let's talk about publishing.
Okay.
Publishing is another story. How did you publish your book?
Well, we are fortunate to know someone that started a publishing company in Washington, the state of Washington, called Creative Force Press. And what it was is they don't consider themselves like a self-publisher and then a traditional publisher. They call themselves a hybrid publisher.
Okay.
They do a lot of the legwork. They format the book. They do the editing, and basically they do everything. But it's up to you to promote your product, and which is a full-time job, as you probably know.
I know.
You have experience more than we do.
Even if you traditionally publish, you end up promoting your own book. I know several people who have traditionally published, and the publisher does very little towards promoting your book, unless you have a really good agent who has really good contacts. It's up to you, and social media and whatever else you do. So, do you have a Facebook page?
We have a Facebook page as well as a web page, and we have a different audience, as I mentioned before. We visit a lot of churches and a lot of spiritual people, and they're very receptive because the book is based around faith and hope and God, and that's like one of my audiences, and other audiences too are interested too with the whole story.
Someone suffered a loss.
Yeah.
Someone who's gone through the cancer.
And we just don't. We call it a ministry. Besides selling the book, we'll go to people, and there's a lot of broken people out there that need some hope and encouragement, and we feel that God has opened His door for us, His path.
Like a ministry.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you on that. And people are happy to listen. I won't say happy, but they're willing to listen to your message. They're willing to listen to your story. And I was just thinking while you were saying that, have you ever tried networking with other people who have done the same journey as you, suffered a loss, written a book, Because sometimes, just from a practical standpoint, networking with those people, you are able to get spots on radio shows, TV shows.
Yeah, we have recently done something where there's a group in Florida where we were invited on a radio show, and we collectively were contributing our stories. There's another, we don't know how this can develop, but there's some kind of, someone is looking to make a motion picture of something similar, and we're one of our hat is in the ring.
Yeah, one of three
so
authors.
We don't know what's going to happen with
from
that, but
Ireland.
whatever, wherever God takes us,
Yes.
we'll go.
Okay, so you were telling me a story before we started the interview about Crystal's graduation. Can you relate the story? Because I think that's a lovely story that I think the people who are watching would like to.
My daughter was a student at the Smithtown Christian School, and her friends, I have to tell you a few things. When she was first diagnosed with this and she was going through operations, her friends took a photocopy of her face and wrote, "Please pray for Crystal." And what they did through the school, they posted it all over the walls. And every time the students would break for class, they would all lay their hands on it collectively, and they would all pray over her. And then when she went on to be the Lord, a lot of kids were affected, and it's one of the motivations that had me write the book. And what happened was it was a surprise to us. Crystal would have graduated 4 years later in 2009, and we were asked to be the commencement speakers.
We're honored.
We were honored, and we spoke, and I asked the students to remember her, but now you have to release her. You can't carry this around. You know the promise, but you have to go on with your lives. And they presented my wife, if you don't mind me showing her,
Yes.
with his graduating ring. The people in that church and school were awesome. They really reached out, and they blessed us in so many ways.
Yeah, well, I firmly believe that every terrible thing that happens can generate many, many acts of kindness and
Yes,
goodness.
and
And I think that's the hope that we hold in our hearts.
Yes.
And even this program was for Crystal.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And I thank you for sharing. I know how difficult it is to talk about this, and thank you for sharing the wonderful life of Crystal Marie Skula.
Thank you for having us. And
Yes, we appreciate it.
if
very
anybody
much.
needs to contact us, we would gladly talk to you.
Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Beryl.
Thank you.